4.5, graphing linear equations in standard form. So going back again, we're in standard form, but this time instead of putting them into y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form, we're going to leave them in standard form and show you a way to graph from standard form using the x and y intercept. So to review, the y-intercept, which we call b, is the place where a line crosses the y-axis. So remember, this is the y-axis. Where does it cross? Here's our line. It crosses right there at that point. The x-intercept is the place where a line crosses the x-axis, so right there. And between those 2 points, you can form a line. So looking down here at the next questions, it says determine the x and y-intercept of the following. So the x-intercept, remember the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. So looking at this line, that's the point 3, 0. So the x-intercept is 3. Keep it simple. Y-intercept, here's the y-axis. Where does it cross? At 6. Look at the point, 0, 6. So going to the next one, the x-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis. So the x-axis, here it is. Where does it cross? Right here at this point. 4, 0. So the x-intercept is 4. The y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, right here. Where does it cross? Here's our line, right here at 0, 2. So the y-intercept is 2. It's 2 units up from the origin. Okay, if you'll notice, if you look at the x-intercept here and the x-intercept, if you look at the ordered pair, x is 3, y is 0. X is 4, y is 0. So the y is always 0 for the x-intercept. The y-intercept values, look at the x-coordinate is 0, the x-coordinate is 0. So we'll talk some more about that in a minute. Let's go on down then to graphing a linear equation in standard form using intercepts. So we're going to use our intercepts to graph. Step 1, to find the x-intercept, substitute 0 in for y, which is what we just talked about in the previous picture. Anytime you're looking at the x-intercept, the y value is always going to be 0. To find the y-intercept, we're going to substitute 0 in for x. It's like the opposite one. And then we're going to use those to graph. Okay, so to find the x-intercept, above that, I want you to say, or right here, say, let y equals 0. To find the y-intercept, we're going to let x equal 0. Okay, and then go ahead and take your equation. So this is the equation. X plus 3y equals -3. Copy it down, and then let's plug in 0 where we see a y. So if I put a 0 where I see that y, what is 3 times 0? That would be 0. So I end up with x equals -3. Keeps it really easy. That is my x-intercept. Now let's do the y-intercept. So I copy down the equation, x plus 3y equals -3. And this time, where I see an x, what am I going to substitute in? A 0. So now finish solving the equation. 3y equals -3. You know this. How do you get y by itself? 3 and the y are connected by multiplication, so you divide. And y equals -1. This is your y-intercept. So I go over to the graph. The x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis at x equals -3, 1, 2, 3. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis right here at -1. 2 points make a line, so I can take my straight edge, I draw a line, use arrows to extend, and that's it. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Oops, and under here you can put -3 and -1. Okay, moving on to the next question, the application problem. You have $6 to spend on apples and bananas. Graph the equation 1.5x plus 6.6y equals 6, where x is the number of pounds of apples and y is the number of pounds of bananas. And then for the next part, we'll have to interpret the intercepts. So first thing I'm going to do is look at my graph. And if my x is the pounds of apples, then I'm going to label my x-axis with apples. And this is in pounds. And then if my y is the number of bananas, so I'm going to label that bananas. And that's in pounds. Okay, so I'm going to make my little x-intercept chart. And this is my y-intercept. We're going to do the same thing that we just did in the last equation. We're going to start with writing down the equation. 1.5x plus 0.6y equals 6. I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay, then go ahead and look at what happens in the x-intercept. We want to say y equals 0, and for the y-intercept, we're going to let x equal 0. So go ahead. So where I see, we're going to substitute in. Where we see a y, what are we going to put in? 0. If I put in 0 here, anything times 0 is gone. It's 0. So I can finish my equation by 1.5x equals 6. I divide both sides by 1.5 because it was connected to the x by multiplication. And I divide by 1.5 here. So x equals 6 divided by 1.5 is 4. That is my x-intercept. I can go over here and graph that. To graph it, well, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to solve for y so that I can kind of see what my values are going to be, so I know what intervals to put my graph at. So I go back over here, I have my equation, and I let x equal 0. So where I see an x, I'm going to put in a 0. 1.5 times 0 is 0. So I bring down my 6y equals, 0.6y equals 6. I divide both sides by 0.6 so that y is by itself as negative, nope, not negative 10, I can't read my own writing, as 10. So y equals 10. And I thought about that because that doesn't make sense to have a negative pounds of bananas, so that's a plus. Okay, so y equals 10. That's my y-intercept. So I want to go, when I go back over here to my graph, I know that I want to put them in intervals of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. X-intercept of 4 goes on the x-axis at 4. Y-intercept goes on the y-axis at 10. Takes 2 points to make a line. So I go ahead, get a straight edge, and graph those like that. And then to interpret the intercepts, what that means is that for the y-intercept, or the x-intercept, the x-intercept means that when you have 0 bananas, then you would have 4 pounds of apples. There's not a lot of room for me to write. So look at this right here, because that means the y value, bananas, would be 0, and I'd have 4 pounds of apples. The y-intercept means that if I have 0 apples, 0 pounds of apples, or 0 apples, I would have 10 pounds of bananas. With my money that I had to spend, which was $6. Okay, your job then is to go down here to On Your Own and try to graph these linear equations using intercepts. So remember, so make a note to yourself right here. So to find the x-intercept, let y equal 0. To find the y-intercept, let x equal 0. Okay, so make these notes on both of these problems. And that's it. That's all you have to do for On Your Own tonight.